My name is Quinn Ashford. I left college at 19 because my parents emptied my tuition account for my cousin Piper's pageant season. 11 years later, they gave my seat at a scholarship gala to that same cousin and told me donors did not want unfinished people at the front table. They did not know the scholarship fund existed because of my signature. The place card had my name on it. I know because I saw it before my mother took it. Quinn Ashford, Table 1. It was printed on thick cream paper and tucked into a little brass holder beside the stage. I remember noticing how formal my name looked, like it belonged to someone who had finished things cleanly, someone with a degree on the wall and a mother who did not describe her life in apologies. Then my mother, Helene, picked it up with 2 fingers. "This cannot be right," she said. My father, Marcus, looked over her shoulder. "What?" "They put Quinn at table 1. He glanced at me, then at the donors gathering near the ballroom doors. "There must be a mistake." I stood there in my black dress, holding the small clutch I had borrowed from a coworker, and felt 19 again. At 19, I learned that money saved in your name is not always saved for you. My grandfather had opened a tuition account when I was born. He was a bus mechanic who never went to college, but believed education was the one door a family should never block. Every birthday, he added something, $20, $50, 1 year after overtime, $500. When he died, the account had enough for my first 2 years at Westbridge State. Then, my cousin Piper qualified for a national pageant circuit. Piper was my aunt's daughter, but in my house, she existed like a family investment. She was pretty in a way adults rewarded early. She smiled on command, cried without smearing mascara, and could turn a room of relatives into a sponsor committee before dessert. My mother called her our bright one. She called me our steady one. Steady meant I could wait. Piper needed coaching, dresses, travel, entry fees, a video package. My aunt could not cover it. My parents said the family would help. I thought that meant bake sales, small checks, maybe my father fixing someone's car for cash. It meant my tuition account. I found out at the financial aid office with a line behind me and a woman behind the desk who kept saying, "The balance was withdrawn in June." I called my mother from the hallway. She said, "Quinn, do not fall apart in public. Not, I am sorry. Not, we will fix it. Not, your grandfather trusted us. Do not fall apart in public." I left Westbridge before the semester began because I could not cover the gap. My parents promised I could go back the next year. The next year became after Piper's Nationals, after my father's hours got cut, after my mother needed dental work, afterlife, as they called it, while my life waited quietly in the corner. I took a job at a print shop, then a second job doing night inventory, then a bookkeeping certificate, then a position at a small manufacturing company where the owner taught me payroll because, as she said, "You look like someone who checks the second page." I did. I checked every second page after that. By 30, I had no degree, no debt, a decent salary, and a memory of college that felt like a train I had watched leave with my name on the ticket. Then Westbridge State called me. The call came because of my grandfather's old friend, Mr. Baines, who had become a maintenance supervisor there. He remembered me from the bus garage. He knew I had left because the money vanished, though nobody in my family had ever admitted it out loud. "There is a scholarship committee looking for community donors," he said. "Small fund, first-generation students. You should talk to them." I laughed. "Mr. Baines, I am not a donor." "You work, do you not?" "That is not the same thing." "It can become the same thing slowly." That sentence stayed with me. I started with $500, not enough to name anything, not enough for applause, just $500 into a restricted fund for students whose family money disappeared, was promised elsewhere, or never existed in the first place. Westbridge matched it through a small alumni-adjacent program after Mr. Baines argued that community members counted as legacy if they kept showing up. I gave again the next year. Then I automated monthly deposits. Then I helped rewrite the application questions so students could explain financial disruption without performing trauma for strangers. Then a local foundation matched the fund after I sent them 3 pages of data and 1 sentence from my grandfather's notebook. A door is not open if only lucky people can reach the handle. After 6 years, the fund had helped 28 students. It was called the Ashford Access Scholarship. My parents did not know. Not because I hid it dramatically, because they never asked what I did with my money unless they needed some of it. When Westbridge invited me to the annual scholarship gala, I nearly declined. I hated formal events. I hated name tags. I hated rooms where people discussed generosity over plates that cost more than some textbooks. Then the dean's assistant said the first full Ashford recipient was speaking. So I went. I did not invite my parents. They found out through my aunt, whose church friend worked in catering. By the week of the gala, my mother had decided it was a family event. My father said he was proud, in the vague tone people use when they do not know what they are proud of. Piper asked what the dress code was. "Why is Piper coming?" I asked my mother. "She is family." "This is a donor event." Exactly. She knows how to talk to important people. I should have known then. At the ballroom, after my mother removed my place card, she waved Piper over. Piper arrived in emerald satin, smiling like a woman accepting a crown from invisible hands. "This makes more sense," my mother said, placing my card in front of Piper. "Quinn, you can sit with us at the family table." "That is my seat." My father lowered his voice. "Do not start." "It has my name on it." Piper gave me a sympathetic look so polished it could have reflected light. "I am sure they just wanted someone comfortable with donors up front," she said. "My name is on the card." My mother touched my elbow. "Quinn, be realistic. These people are funding scholarships. You did not even finish school. There is no need to highlight that." The sentence landed exactly where she aimed it. Unfinished people. That was what she had called me once during an argument. I was 25, working 2 jobs, and she said I had become hard because I never finished anything important. I looked at my father. He looked at the floor. That hurt more than my mother's voice because it meant he remembered the tuition account and still chose silence. "Move," my mother whispered. For the first time, I did not. Before I could answer, a woman in a burgundy jacket approached with a tablet. "Ms. Ashford?" My mother smiled. "Yes, this is my niece, Piper Ashford. She will be sitting in Quinn's place." The woman blinked. "I need Quinn Ashford." "I am Quinn," I said. Her expression softened with recognition. "Dean Cho is looking for you. The donor file needs your approval before the presentation." Piper's smile faltered. My mother said, "Donor file?" The woman looked confused. "For the Ashford Access Scholarship." Silence moved through my family like spilled ink. My father looked up. "Ashford Access?" "Yes," the woman said. "Miss Ashford is the founding donor." There are moments when revenge does not arrive as thunder. Sometimes it arrives as a staff member reading a tablet. My mother's hand left my elbow. Piper looked at the place card in front of her like it had become hot. Dean Harlan Cho reached us then, a slim man with silver glasses and the kind of calm that makes noisy people look underdressed. "Quinn," he said warmly, "I am sorry to pull you away. We need to confirm whether we can use your grandfather's quote in the program." My mother made a sound. Dean Cho turned politely. "You must be Quinn's family." My father nodded slowly. "We are." "Then you should be very proud. This fund has become one of our most practical sources of emergency tuition support." Practical. There was the word again, returned with interest. My mother tried to recover. "Quinn never mentioned she was involved at this level." Dean Cho looked at me, not her. "Many of our best donors are quiet." I felt something in my chest loosen. Piper stood from the chair. "I can move." "Yes," I said. It was not loud. It did not need to be. She moved. I sat at table 1, My parents sat 3 tables back with my aunt and Piper, close enough to hear every word and far enough to understand the distance. When the program began, Dean Cho introduced the scholarship by telling the story of students who lose funding after believing it was secure. He did not tell my story. I had not given permission for that. He spoke about the fund's purpose, the application structure, the emergency grants, the matched donations. Then he introduced the student speaker, a young man named Malik Reyes. Malik walked to the podium with a folded paper and trembling hands. "I was going to leave in October," he said. "My mother's hours were cut, and my balance was due before registration. The Ashford Access Scholarship did not just pay a bill. It gave me proof that somebody had planned for students like me to stay." I looked down, not because I was embarrassed, because I did not want the room to see my face before I could arrange it. Malik continued, "I do not know the donor personally, but I know this. Whoever built this fund understood that losing money can feel like losing permission to become yourself." That was when I cried. Quietly. No performance, no collapse. Just tears that belonged to 19-year-old me and 30-year-old me at the same time. When the applause came, Dean Cho asked me to stand. I did. My mother was crying too, but hers looked different. Not proud. Not yet. More like recognition arriving late and finding no seat saved. After the dinner, my father found me near the hallway outside the ballroom. "Quinn," he said. I waited. He held his program in both hands. My grandfather's quote was printed under the scholarship name. "I did not know," he said. "You did not ask." He flinched. "About the fund, I mean." "I know what you mean." He looked older than he had at the start of the evening. "Your grandfather would have been proud." For years I had wanted that sentence. In my imagination, it healed something. In real life, it arrived thin and late, carrying too much of what he had not said when it mattered. "He would have been angry first," I said. My father closed his eyes. "Yes," he whispered, "he would have." My mother approached then, with Piper behind her. Piper looked smaller without the chair at table 1. My mother looked like she was deciding whether to apologize or explain. Explanation won the first round, as it usually does. "We thought you would feel awkward up there," she said. "No, you thought I did not belong." "Quinn, I was trying to protect you." "From recognition?" Piper whispered, "Aunt Helene." My mother ignored her. "You have always been sensitive about college." That did it. I took the program from my father's hands, opened it to the scholarship page, and pointed to the fund description. "I am sensitive about theft being renamed sacrifice." The hallway went quiet. My father's face changed. My mother said, "We did what we thought was best at the time." For Piper. Piper looked down. I turned to her. "You were a teenager. You did not empty the account." She swallowed. I knew later. That honesty surprised me. When? After nationals. I heard Mom and Aunt Helene talking. I should have said something. "Yes," I said. "You should have." She nodded, tears rising. "I am sorry." My mother looked offended by the apology, as if Piper had broken formation. "This is not the place," she said. I almost laughed. My life had been shaped by that phrase. Not the place. Not the time. Not in public. Not around donors. Not when your cousin has something important. "It is exactly the place," I said. "This room exists because of what happened." Dean Cho appeared at the edge of the hallway. He did not interrupt. He simply stood there with the donor file in his hand, an accidental witness or maybe a deliberate one. Either way, my mother saw him and stopped speaking. That was the second reveal of the evening. Not that I was the donor. That my mother knew when to stop when someone with a title was watching. I took the donor file from Dean Cho after he offered it to me for signature. The cover was plain blue. Inside were the annual report, the student list, the fund balance, and the renewal terms. My name appeared exactly once on the authorization page. Founding donor, Quinn Ashford. I signed the renewal while my parents stood beside me. My father cried then, one hand over his mouth, shoulders shaking once. I had never seen him cry about the tuition account. I had never seen him cry about me leaving school. Watching him cry over the document that repaired a piece of it did not satisfy me the way I once thought it would. It made me tired. "I am sorry," he said. My mother stared at him. "Marcus." He shook his head. "No, we took it." There it was, 4 words, 11 years. We took it. My mother looked like the floor had moved under her. "We helped family," she said, but her voice had lost its certainty. "Quinn was family," he said. I had no graceful place to put that sentence. It was both too late and necessary. After the gala, Piper sent me a handwritten note with a check for $5,000. It was not the full amount, not even close. In the note, she wrote that the money came from selling old pageant gowns. She said she knew repayment was not the same as repair. I deposited the check into the scholarship fund. My mother called that dramatic. I called it accurate. The deposit created a new argument, of course. My mother said Piper had meant the money for me. My aunt said I had humiliated Piper twice by refusing a personal repayment. Piper, to her credit, called me herself. "I am not mad," she said. "You are allowed to be." "No, I think you put it where it should have gone in the first place." That was the first time we spoke without our mothers arranging the weather between us. Piper told me she hated pageants by the end. She liked performing when she was little, then became trapped in how much adults had spent on her being special. Every dress came with a debt she could not name. Every win made the next expense easier to justify. By the time she learned where the money had come from, she said, she was old enough to feel guilty and too young to know what to do with it. "That does not make it your fault," I said. "Maybe not, but I benefited." I respected that sentence. Months later, Piper volunteered to mentor scholarship applicants on interview anxiety. The first time I saw her sitting with 2 nervous students in the library, wearing jeans instead of satin, I felt something in me loosen. Not forgiveness exactly, more like proof that people can return borrowed light and still become real. Over the next year, my father made monthly deposits into the fund. Small ones at first, then larger. My mother did not, but she stopped telling people I was unfinished. That may sound like a low bar. In my family, it was a structural renovation. My father also brought me my grandfather's toolbox. It had been in the garage for years, resting under paint cans and holiday lights. Inside, beneath wrenches and bus bolts, was a small envelope with my name on it. My father said he found it while cleaning, but I think he had known it was there and lacked the courage to give it to me. The envelope held a note in my grandfather's block handwriting. "Quinn, if school gets hard, remember hard is not a locked door. It is just a heavy one. Push with both hands." I sat on my kitchen floor and cried until my ribs hurt. My father stood awkwardly by the counter. "I should have given you that years ago," he said. "Yes, I am sorry." I folded the note carefully. "Put the next deposit in by Friday." He almost smiled. "Yes, ma'am." My mother did not come around because of the note. She came around because of a student. At the next gala, a recipient named Nessa gave a speech about working the closing shift at a pharmacy and doing calculus homework on receipt paper. My mother sat in the back, not with me, not at table 1, just in the back. I did not know she was coming until I saw her program folded in her lap. Afterward, she found me near the coat check. "That girl reminded me of you," she said. She reminded me of herself. My mother nodded slowly. I suppose that is the point. It was the closest she had come to understanding the fund, without making it about family reputation. I took it carefully, like a glass filled too high. I never went back to finish my degree. People expect that part of the story, but life is not always a circle. I built a career without it. I built a fund because I still believed in the door, even after mine closed. At the next gala, I brought no family. Malik came back as a volunteer. A new recipient spoke about staying enrolled after her father disappeared with rent money. She said the scholarship made her feel like someone had believed the emergency before it happened. That sentence became the new heart of the fund. I keep the first place card in a frame on my desk. Quinn Ashford, Table 1. Not because I need to remember the status, because I need to remember the moment I stopped letting people move my name to make their version of me more comfortable. Beside it is my grandfather's note. One reminds me where I sat. The other reminds me why I stood up. Both are receipts. Both are mine. Finally. When people ask why I keep paper in a digital world, I tell them paper waited for me when people did not. That is my story. My parents gave my seat away because they thought donors would see me as unfinished. The dean opened the donor file, and the room learned I had been building the table they tried to remove me from. If someone calls you incomplete because they interrupted your path, remember this: unfinished is not the same as unworthy. Share this with someone who needs that, and tell me where you are listening from.